Russian President Vladimir Putin has voiced hopes for further peace talks with Ukraine, but he stressed his troops were advancing on the entire front line despite the threat of looming U.S. sanctions. Now, if a ceasefire was not agreed upon, Putin said all disappointments arise from inflated expectations in an apparent reference to Trump's disappointment with the Russian leader for not bringing an end to the war. Now, speaking a day after one of the deadlines, Russian air attacks on Kyiv, he repeated his demands for Ukrainian neutrality and recognition of the occupied territories, which Ukraine views as a capitulation. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said he was ready to meet Putin anytime. Now, to discuss more on these stories, we have Arise analyst Rotimi Michael Kade joining us now on Arise America via Zoom. Hi, Rotimi. Good evening. Very good to have you on the show. Can you hear me, Rotimi?
Yeah, I can hear you very clearly.
Thank you. So let's talk about Trump, who framed this move of the submarines as precautionary, but critics argue it dangerously escalates tensions and reflects a volatile leadership style. Should the world be concerned that a single leader's reaction to provocative speech, rather than actual battlefield developments, can bring us this close to nuclear signaling?
Well, a very good question. I think the world should be concerned when two most powerful nations in the world talk nuclear on a social media handle. And that is a kind of a flashback of a 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, where, if you recall, the United States deployed two nuclear submarines to Turkey and Italy, and Russia in turn matched the United States by trying to build a missile facility in Cuba, and that also, scenario actually lasted for about 13 days, which, we now term as the Cuban Nuclear Crisis. But again, are we going to see a repeat of that in 2025? The United States president made it abundantly clear right there that, hey, we are going to make sure we're deploying, but he did not say in specific where is deploying these submarines to. But what we know for sure is that it's a good news coming from Kremlin, because we've not heard anything, no official statement from Kremlin about, the actions of the United States deploying submarine in the territory of Russia. We've not also heard anything from the current president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, concerning this statements or the move by the United States. On the other hand, what we've heard partially from the Russian press is the fact that they've been very dismissive of, Trump's threat of deploying the submarines to their region. They argued that in 2017, Trump actually made similar threats to North Korea, that is going to deploy submarines to the Korean Peninsula. And afterwards, there was no news of that deployment. And then he had a meeting with President of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. So should we take this very seriously? I think we should. Two world powers, even though Medvedev is a former Russian president, I believe he has the ears of Vladimir Putin, who is the current president of Russia. We should be concerned, and that should actually involve the United Nations actually trying to broker peace between Russia and the United States. But again, analysts are asking the question that, is this a precursor to the US-Russia summit? Only time will tell.
I apologize for asking if we should be concerned, because quite obviously, yes, we should be. Now, I've said this earlier on the show, and I'm going to say it again. Certainly unprecedented times. I mean, talking nuclear weapons on social media, I don't think we've ever witnessed anything like that. So President Putin says he's open to further peace talks, yet in the same breath, he boasts that Russian forces are quote, advancing on the entire front line. Now, just a day after a deadly airstrike on Kyiv, he's made the statement. Isn't this classic Kremlin tactic of talking peace while still waging war? How seriously should the world take these overtures?
Well, I believe that Russia wants to negotiate on from the position of strength. Yes, we are ready to negotiate with Russia, but that shouldn't take anything with Ukraine, I should say. But that shouldn't take anything away from, our mission of bombing Ukraine and conquering territories. So take it or leave it. I think that's the position of Russia, where they want to see that, hey, if we ever have to sit down with Ukraine in any fora, we should be able to say that, yeah, we have an upper hand in this negotiation. And I pretty much think that's what the strategy is for Russia in these times. It's pretty very, disappointing that despite the fact that we're going to be having meetings with these two presidents, there should be some sort of ceasefire before that, but we've not seen that on the part of Russia.
Well, President Putin's remarks about disappointments arising from inflated expectations seemed like a thinly veiled jab at Trump's frustration with Moscow's failure to end the war. Now, with both leaders publicly pressuring each other, one through ultimatums and the other through sarcasm, are we witnessing diplomacy devolve into performative posturing while Ukraine remains stuck in the quite tragic crossfire?
Well, I agree with you. I think Ukraine is just in the middle of the crossfire between the United States and Russia. Some analysts have also said that Ukraine or the United States is actually fighting a proxy war using Ukraine. That's quite debatable. But right now, we're going to be having this kind of meetings. The United States president, if you recall, during the campaign trail, it said it's going to negotiate very fast with the Russian president. As a matter of fact, to quote him, it said it's not going to take him too long before Russia will cease fire in this war. But we've been months into this, and Russia seems not to be backing down. So that puts a kind of a puncture on the posture or the promises of President Trump. President Trump, being who he is not letting things go. He wants to see that he's a strong man, he's a strong president, and he's able to cut deals with perhaps one of the most powerful men in the world, which is Vladimir Putin.
Absolutely, and much more than being president, Donald Trump has always been someone who believed he could achieve the unachievable. Remember his comments about how Joe Biden handled the wars and how he essentially failed in ending the war. And then we look at how difficult this is turning out for him as well. Well, I believe in him, and I'm hoping, for the sake of those who are in the crossfires, that there is some sort of peace treaty soon. Rotimi, thank you very much for your insights. We do value them very, very much on Arise America. Thank you.